Wednesday, and that means it's time, and it's 11 or not 11. It's space-time continuum. It's Wednesday, and that means it's time for Elevenses with the reps at Diesel Bookstore. Welcome, everyone. If you're joining us for the first time, every week we get together here in our protected and safe little space. And we meet with our wonderful publishers representatives and our booksellers, and we talk about books. We talk about all of the upcoming books. We talk about new books just out on your front tables. We talk about recently released titles that we're very excited about. And we get the inside scoop from our reps about what to look for and what to get excited about. And if you're watching for the first time, you will find that your to be read list gets added to exponentially after we hear from the experts over here about what's happening. And I'm going to introduce our experts in just a second. But first, I want to tell you about what's happening this week at Diesel in the store, and we're super excited. The big event this week is tomorrow at 6:30 p.m., and that is Rep Night at Diesel. And this is our first inaugural Rep Night. Yay! At Diesel. Yeah, we're super, we really are excited about this. We will be having a half dozen of our wonderful publishers reps, not all, unfortunately, because we can't fit them all into the space, but 6, including Tom, will be there tomorrow night, and they'll be doing sort of a crash recommend of their favorite books of the season, so that it's like one-stop shopping, folks. Really, your entire holiday gift list is taken care of here. I've seen the books that are going to be presented, and it's really exciting. Such great books. We will have them all on hand. You will meet the reps in person, which is really a fun thing. And what's more, we will be having giveaways and raffle prizes, and everybody who comes enters automatically in the raffle. So lots of giveaways and prizes, really, really good stuff. So that's going to be 6:30 tomorrow, rain or shine. We're very excited about it. Check it out. I think it's a ticketed event, but I think we still have tickets available. So check that out. Get your ticket. And we'll see you tomorrow. It's going to be really, really, really great. All right.
Who would have thought you'd have to say rain or shine? But
I did say rain or shine.
But who would have thought you'd have to
say?
I
know. And it is, and we were just talking about this before we went live, about how like one day, it's just, and all of the days around it are nice and dry. And then one day, because if you all have been into the store, into Diesel, it's a tiny little store, and we have our events in the courtyard, which is adjacent, which holds quite a few people, but it doesn't have a cover. So
make it work.
But we're going to make it work. It's going to be really fun. And again, professionals know what they're doing. So that's going to be great. All right. So joining us today to talk about their books, we have with us Andrea Tetrick from PGW, Tom Benton from Penguin, Brittany Greenway from Macmillan. Sorry, I got stuck there for a second. And joining us early in the morning, having had his Red Bull, is Henry from Diesel. All right, behind the scenes we have Joey, who's going to be posting links to all the books we talk about today in the chat area, so that you can go ahead and click on them later and reserve them. All right, let's get going. Got a full roster here today. Andrea, why don't you lead us off?
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. A little bit of snow, a sprinkling of snow yesterday here in the Owens Valley, and the upper elevations got hammered with snow. So people will be heading up here to ski soon. The first book I want to talk about is The Art of Tennis. and this is from David R. Godine, and they're known as a literary house, but they also do a few interesting gift books, lavishly illustrated titles, and this is one of those. And it's basically a celebration of tennis, its cultural influence, the game, how its origins, its players. This is definitely a great gift book for any fan. And it also goes into how the game has inspired paintings, ballet, yes, music, fiction and poetry, and even clothing, of course. Because, as we all know, even if we haven't thought about it, the game of tennis is also an art form, let's face it. It's one of the most elegant games ever invented. So I can't say enough about this book. I'm going to see if I can share my screen and show you some of the beautiful, yes, I'm going to share it, and let's see. I need a tab. Come on. Okay. Sorry, guys. Here you go. Check this out. Beautiful, right? Love it. So they're showing a lot of, obviously, the art. Here's a cartoon, Tom and Jerry. And I just think this looks so beautiful. The production values are amazing. And Diesel's already sold a few, which is nice to see, straight out the gate, and had to reorder, which is always a good sign, let's face it. So
I love the cover of this book, and I'm so glad you had some interiors to show us. What is the size of the book? I'm just trying to get a sense. I haven't seen it in.
It's 356 pages. It's bulky, but a smaller trim size at 9x6. So
okay.
yeah, so it's gonna in some ways show itself off because of that different, smaller trim size. So,
which is great. I love that you get such a beautiful, but really polished kind of art book like that, but in a sort of a manageable size. So,
yes.
That's a great gift idea. Really, it's the first gift idea of the podcast today. Definitely, that's beautiful, Andrea. I love it.
Yeah, we're very excited about it. Godine has hit it out of the park, to use a mixed metaphor.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I guess you could in tennis hit it out of the court. Yeah. Thank you, Andrea. Brittany, what have you got for us first?
Okay. So my first book is called Cat's Christmas, and I actually have a book with me today. Are you shocked? But this is by Alison Murray. It's available now, and essentially it's about a cat who hates Christmas, which I feel like could potentially be pretty relatable for a lot of cats. But basically, Cat just doesn't like that his home gets invaded and changed around, because he likes to feel safe and cozy, and everything, needs to be the way that he likes it. He's not a big fan of change, but he also does not like that there was a dog visitor. Look at that. He is very unhappy about this dog coming into his house at Christmas time. So he's a little bit grumpy. He's a little bit of a Christmas hater. But ultimately, at the end of the day, he realizes that the important thing is to be with the ones that he loves. And so, maybe Christmas isn't his thing, but it does mean that he gets to spend time with his favorite person and his favorite place, which is home with her. So,
yeah. Adorable. Another great gift idea, and also I think great for kids. Like the holidays are a little bit stressful always, and it filters down to kids, I think. And so this is a great little book for kids who are kind of worked up about it and maybe feeling some of the stress that the adults are feeling. So a really nice way of doing it and making them feel safe. Excellent book and cute. Adorable.
Very, very cute. And
Yeah.
you know, it's like it's a grumpy cat. What more could you want?
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Brittany.
Yeah.
All right, Tom, what's your first book?
I'm going to lead off with 1929 by Andrew Ross Sorkin. So this is new from Viking. It's been out maybe a month or so, already a big bestseller. So Andrew Ross Sorkin is he's a big name at the New York Times. He runs New York Times Deal Book. He's a frequent, he's on CNBC all the time. He's a mover and shaker in the financial world, but also a really important financial writer. We published his Too Big to Fail which was the definitive book on the 2008 financial crisis. We published that, probably 15 years ago, won all sorts of awards. This is a, I hate to say it, but a natural follow-up to Too Big to Fail. So this is a deep dive into the Great Depression, 1929, what led the country to that moment, and then the aftermath. And he's done tons of research, and he's uncovered, archives, diaries, a lot of contemporary accounts, to take us, because it's a cataclysmic historical event that we all know about, but we don't really know the causes, and certainly not the people involved. And so that's what we get here. And it's big, very accessible history. I mean, he's a very, it goes down easily. He's very character driven. So you're learning about bankers and who you've never heard of, but he takes you inside their world, the ambition, the folly, the mistakes, many mistakes, the naivete. It's all here. Plus, as a bonus, Deborah, you get echoes of what's happening in our world today. It is inescapable that as he's telling the story of 1929, you'll feel, at least for me, I broke out into a sweat at certain times because it is so familiar to, many things are familiar to what's happening today. And then he's been all over the media, and that's a big part of what he talks about, what he learned from all of his research, that we can apply today, we can think about in terms of what's happening to our financial system today. But at its heart, this is a great, it's a great gift book for anyone who loves history, certainly anybody who's interested in business history. But I expect this to be one of our biggest, holiday books, because people are going to want to read it. It's already a bestseller, and they're going to want to give it as a gift.
He's such a good writer, which is so helpful, I think, when you've got a book like this. He's such a good writer. It's so accessible, like you say. And always, Tom, you always, before I don't interrupt you, you'll always say what I'm thinking before I say it, which is that, obviously it's very reflective. The more things change, the more they stay the same. But it's great for, like, in hindsight. Oh yeah, look.
Yeah, right. We should notice that. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I feel like if you read this book and watch the Ken Burns American Revolution together, well, right. Yeah. It's a double whammy. But it's great to be able to get perspective, and I think there's nobody better to do it, actually, because he's able to kind of relate these sometimes kind of complicated, interconnected economic ideas in a very readable way for people. So
he's fascinating in that he's tied. Yeah, he's a good reporter. He's a really good reporter, but he's also very much reporting on what's happening minute by minute right now. So he's got his feet in all kinds of places, and he's good at it all.
Yeah, excellent. And as you say, another great gift book. Not won't leave feeling as secure as you will with the cat, the cat who hates Christmas. But yeah, thank you, Tom. Henry.
Hello. This is going to be a shocker. I have a horror book.
Horror.
You never would have guessed. I was in Portland, Oregon recently for a wedding, and there is a bookstore there that I now cannot remember the name of, but it is a horror-only bookstore. It's incredible. And when I was there, I got a book called A Game in Yellow, which is kind of a strange book. It is these two women. They are lesbians. Their relationship's kind of falling apart. Their sex life is kind of falling apart. And for reasons that are not entirely clear, they decide that the best way to fix their sex life is to find a stranger in an underground bar who will give them pages of The King in Yellow to read, to act as kind of like a drug-fueled haze to try and fix their relationship. For those who do not know, The King in Yellow is a semi-fictional play that is one of the things that inspired H.P. Lovecraft to write a lot of his very weird, esoteric horror books. The idea is that you read this play and it makes you crazy. So they read it small portions at a time to microdose being crazy in an attempt to fix their relationship. It's a really weird book. A lot of unreliable narrator stuff that I think is very, very fun. I love an unreliable narrator. I think it's really fun when you cannot read the book that you're reading. I blame Joey that I like that. I read it really fast. It's a really quick read. It's not especially long. It's 280 pages. I read it on an airplane. But I cannot recommend it more. There is a lot of sex in it. I'll be upfront on that.
I mean, good for a content warning, but not a, that doesn't necessarily put people off. For some readers, it's a bonus. Henry, there's a book coming called soon, publishing in the next few months, called Unreliable Narrator.
Good to know.
Yeah, I'll get back to you with the dates on that one. I think you want to read it.
If anyone is a fan of The King in Yellow, of any of that kind of H.P. Lovecraft stuff, this is a great new spin on that style.
I've not heard of any of that, the game or any of that stuff, and I'm always so happy to hear about your recommendations, Henry, because they open the doors for me for things that they're out of my field of vision, which is great. And that's what this is for, so that we can find out about stuff. And there's a lot of books out there. And that's it sounds very niche, but at the same time, there's a lot going on that I think can appeal to a lot of people, so another great recommendation. Thanks, Henry. Back to you, Andrea.
Okay, unmiked. Thanks. I want to talk about two books briefly because they're companions, and you'll understand when I talk about these two. And I appreciate everybody for allowing me to do that. Thank you. The first is The Queen of Swords by Jazmina Barrera, and the second book is the subject of the first book is written by the subject of the first book, Elena, Garro, The Week of Colors, and these are stories. The reason I wanted to talk about The Queen of Swords today, not only because it's a brilliant book, but it's on the National Book Award list. So it may win tonight, as the new awards are announced. It's also included on the Indie Next list this month. So indie booksellers love it as much as we do in-house. But the Queen of Swords was also just named as the winner of the 2025 Cercador Prize for Literature and Translation. So everything is lining up. This book is, firing on all cylinders for sure. And it all starts out as Barrera basically wants, it just started out as a short essay on Garro, and because she was an influential Mexican writer, mid-20th century writer. But she basically went down the rabbit hole during that process of trying to write a short essay, which she just could not put all of the information she wanted to put into just this essay. So what comes from that is the Queen of Swords, which is a basically singular portrait of a complex life. So she's sifting through the archives at Princeton, where Elena Garro's papers are, and she's just thwarted the entire time by fully knowing her subject. And so the traditional means of research, correspondences, photos, books, only serve to complicate and cloud the woman, and also her work. So who is Elena Garro really? People love this book. Kirkus called it, let me see here, a prismatic portrait of an elusive woman. Eileen Miles, the great poet and now memoirist, says this. This neo-bio is a total pleasure. I'd never known Elena Garro, and now I'm riveted by the entire morphine fact of her. Jazmina Barrera's take is intimate and playful and transgressive in the ways we generally get condemned to when considering a life, especially a literary and female one. Here we splash dramatically, surrounded by Garro. Barrera's obsession, toys, affairs, homes, animals, friends, and works. It's a joyous, brainy blast, and I'm intrigued and changed by the Queen of Swords as a reader and a writer. Wow, that is powerful. Now, moving on to the elusive mystery herself and her work. It's really nice to see that Two Lines Press, also the publisher of Queen of Swords, came out with this companion volume, The Week of Colors, short stories, for the first time translated into the English here. We're very excited about this book as well. Basically, she was married to Octavio Paz, the great Mexican poet. She was friends with all of the great writers in mid-20th century Latin America. Jorge Luis Borges, who she knew, called her the Tolstoy of Mexico. Okay, so I think that these books should be picked up together. It's just lovely to see them come out at the same time, and this really phenomenal, mysterious writer being introduced to a new audience here in America for the first time.
You know that I loved Queen of Swords, Andrea, and as soon as I saw that gorgeous cover, I picked it up immediately. I knew nothing about Elena Garro, and I was completely mesmerized. I could not put it down. It's it's a trip reading that book, which is not normally the way I describe reading. But it is, and it was great, and it just was so informative, so immersive, so beautifully written. And so I'm really excited. She was a big deal, Garro, actually, but completely unknowable in some ways. So this is very exciting.
Yeah, and forgotten really, especially by the American audience. Of course, like academics and literary readers in Mexico remember who she is, but it is nice to have this collection of stories translated into the English here for the first time, and it's very exciting. And Barrera, her work is great. I know that you've been a fan from her first book that was published by Two Lines, so we appreciate your endorsement and everybody's support out there in the Indies.
That's excellent. Thank you, Andrea. Brittany, back to you.
All right, my next one is The House of Saphir by Marissa Meyer. I should note that all of my books are out now. So Cat's Christmas is available now, and as is this title. So this is Marissa Meyer kind of coming back to what she is best at, which is fairy tale retellings. This is a loose retelling of Bluebeard. It's deeply creepy. It is about sort of a failed witch and her talent for singing ghosts and her journey to this very creepy house and how she's trying to rid the house of ghosts and maybe, just maybe, the boy that she likes is also a serial killer. So yeah, there's a lot going on. It's pitch perfect. I think it's truly her kind of back in her wheelhouse. And I mean, just look at that cover. It's amazing.
So I really love that Bluebeard is really coming back as a kind of a fairy tale that's being retold lately, because that is some dark, it's like in the realm of dark fairy tales. That one's really dark.
Yeah.
And it has all kinds of incredible implications and kind of themes that you can draw from it. So this is fascinating for me. Idea of this. What is this?
It's YA.
It is young adult. Okay, so but we talk about this on Elevenses quite a bit, about the lines between YA and adult and middle grade. So there's a lot of give, and I think there's a lot of adult readers are reading YA, and some of it can be pretty mature. So, but I think she's really well known and incredibly popular, Marissa Meyer. So I think this is going to be another slam dunk and another great gift book for sure. Thanks, Brittany. Tom?
Okay, so my next book is The Insider by Gerald Howard. So Jerry Howard he's the author, and he is he himself is a publishing insider. He was at Penguin and Viking for many years, published David Foster Wallace there, and then he moved to, and also Don DeLillo, and then he moved to Doubleday, where he was at Doubleday for many years and published a lot of important writers there. And he always wanted to get a writer to do a book about Malcolm Cowley, and he never could find the right writer. And so when he retired a few years ago, he decided he would do it himself. And so this is, of course, it's a book for me. It's a book for a person who loves books, loves publishing, because Malcolm Cowley he's not famous now, but in his day, he was very famous. He was he was an outsider who became the ultimate publishing insider. So he was there for the Lost Generation. He was in Paris with Hemingway, Gertrude Stein as a young man. And then he came back to New York and worked, was a book reviewer at the New Republic. And Howard calls him like the Pauline Kael of his day in terms of book reviewing. And then he went to work for Viking. And at Viking, he had the most consequential publishing career. It's hard to believe that in the mid-1940s, William Faulkner, almost all of his books are out of print, except for one. Cowley changed that when he published The Portable Faulkner, which that became this sensation. And then it brought Faulkner back into the cultural conversation. And then within a few years, he won the Nobel Prize, and William Faulkner has never been forgotten again. So it's that kind of thing that Cowley did time and time again. He tried to get Viking to publish, and it took many years to get them to publish On the Road, Jack Kerouac. That was Cowley. Later, he was there he found Ken Kesey, and he published One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So he was there for the Lost Generation, the Beat Generation, the Hippie Generation. It's truly this amazing story of a life. And I see it like, I think you could read this book without, my personal interest in publishing, but like as a history of the 20th century, but told through publishing, through these lives, through the other thing that Howard makes clear, which wasn't clear to me really until he points it out, was that before this period of publishing, American literature was not seen as important. It was only people like Cowley and their publishing of Hemingway, Faulkner, and on, suddenly American literature took its place, within world literature as this important thing. We think of ourselves as so self-importantly as, American literature, but it wasn't always that way. So this is a great gift book for anyone who loves literature, but also history, I think. It's entertaining. He published John Cheever's first short story. I mean, for about 50 years, Cowley was there for everything in terms of the important literary cultural moments. So love this book, The Insider by Gerald Howard.
So it's impossible for me to separate my, book geekery from my excitement about this book. As I'm I'm just really trying to pretend to be a person who's not really into this stuff all the time.
Me too, right?
And see how I would respond. And like everybody in my house is like that too. So it's not, you can't get an objective. But I think as near as I can get to being objectively interested in something like this, I do think it's a really great and interesting read. We're very excited about it here, obviously. And then again, not to bring up Ken Burns again, but just sort of kind of dropping into American Revolution and thinking about how new this country is actually in when you look at it, compare it to other countries that have been around for like millennia. Really, it's like a brand new country. And if you can remember the bicentennial, that means you've been around for like a good chunk of American history. And so American literature also is,
that's right,
relatively new in the scheme of things. And so that just really puts another interesting angle on the whole thing, I think. But a really great read for anybody who's interested in American history through the lens of its writers. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you, Tom. Henry, what's your second book?
Okay. It's not a horror book. It's a cookbook. Love a cookbook.
I know Henry is always, it's horror or cookbooks, which I love that intersection between horror and cooking, because it's a certain kind of interesting sweet spot. If you cook a lot, really you definitely, there's always a horror story somewhere in there. But.
My coworkers know this because I do not shut up about it. I've been making a lot of soup. I cook a great deal of soup.
This is the season.
Exactly. I have used one of Molly Baz's cookbooks, Cook This Book, to make literally the best soup I've ever had in my entire life. It is called the Golden Get Well Soup. It's basically a giant blob of green onions and garlic and turmeric and ginger. It is delicious. This cookbook makes it shockingly easy to make things that look and taste and feel like very professionally made meals. Some of them definitely do have a difficulty to them, but for the most part, it is very straightforward. She has written it in a very accessible way. Something that I think is great about this book is spread throughout it. There are QR codes that have it links either to her reading through the recipe or a full YouTube video of her doing the recipe. She got her start in like the Bon Appetit kitchen, so she's very comfortable on camera, working with cameras, kind of having that digital integration that I think is very good in a cookbook for someone on the younger side who's getting into cooking. I think a lot of people in their 20s and their teens aren't especially familiar with a lot of cooking. Having the access to a YouTube video can make it a lot easier, especially when paired with the actual cookbook. All of her food is delicious. She has a really great section as well that's like how to build your pantry, which I know a lot of cookbooks have, but something about this one just felt a lot more accessible. Like what your pantry staples are, what tools she thinks you should have. I just think the way she's written it and a lot of the recipes are very accessible, really easy to make really, really good food.
What else do you want from a cookbook, right? But you know what I love about this cookbook especially is that you have the recipes, but then they're recipes that you just put in your roster that you come back to. You internalize them, and then they become like favorite recipes. Not like a lot of cookbooks are really fun. I have a cookbook problem, as everybody knows, and I just get sucked into them, and I love cookbooks. But a lot of them have like one recipe that you make out of them. And then like the rest of it is, or maybe there's a couple, but they're just very involved. And when you think about it, it's not like this is what I need for a, for a weeknight, for if you're somebody who cooks a lot and, you're eating at home and you're cooking for a family and whatever, you need to have like, at least 4 meals a week, recipes a week that you can just come back to and not have to think about or go shopping for exotic ingredients. And then she does this really well. And I think you make a great point about QR codes and YouTube videos because, that's important. Somebody showing you how to do it as well these days. So it's a really great book. It's one of my favorites. So thank you for talking about that one, Henry. And that soup sounds really good.
It is incredible. Great if
right
you're
now.
feeling sick.
Yeah. All right, let's start off our last round of the day with Andrea.
Okay, thanks so much. I would love to talk about Winter Stories by the internationally renowned and best-selling author Ingvild Rishøi from Norway. This is from Grove Press. It's a $22 hardcover. And Diesel has already been selling this book, even though the official pub date is December 2nd, but no hard and fast street dates. So I'm glad you're selling this book. It's a gorgeous package, as you'll see from that cover, which echoes last year's bestseller and Indie Next Picks from the same author, Brightly Shining, which many of you out there and about may remember that we discussed here as well. This is also an Indie Next Pick, so it's nice to see that the independent booksellers have a lot of love for this author. This is will be an Indie Next Pick for December. And this is a trio of powerful and masterful stories that basically distills a lifetime of struggle for each of the main characters in these stories in a single moment. And that's why I just think this author really is at the peak of her powers. I mean, to do that so beautifully in a few short pages is hard to do. A young mother in financial trouble tries to steal a pair of underwear while her daughter is watching. A man just out of prison has a hard time reintegrating into society to become a better father for his son. And 3 siblings run away and seek refuge in a remote cabin out of time and place, really, in hopes of keeping their family from being torn apart. Those all are really interesting plot lines that, of course, really revolve around, as I said before, like, can these moments, these sharp moments in time really show the struggles of a lifetime? And I think she totally pulls it off here. Her subject matter, her themes are obviously the complexity of family, the ravages of poverty, how to forgive, is it possible, the deep human striving for a better life, and how to make change while we face difficult choices. These stories are just wrought with humanity and tenderness towards the story's subjects. It's just a beautiful collection of stories, and I'm so happy that independent booksellers have warmed to Rishøi and her work, and I'm hoping to see a new one soon on the Grove list from this internationally acclaimed author.
Brightly Shining was terrific. Really, that was a wonderful book. And I'm really excited about this one. Which I haven't read yet, but I really have developed a new appreciation, or like an appreciation again, of short stories. It's the fact that they're short. Again, you can read more. Yes, you can read more. But also, I really, love the idea of being able to read, one complete piece at a time, and really get and it's much harder to write a good short story, I think.
I think it's a really hard form.
It is.
And the great masters make it look easy. And I think she's a great master. So it's so great to see that she's been published and translated into English here. And, considering how everything is a swirl and chaotic in the world, I think that it's time for a short story revival. You can really just dig into it and, in and out, which is good. I know Tom is a big short story fan, so I know that he will, second a movement towards short stories.
And I think we are having a short story revival. I can tell you that looking at for next year, we have some major collections of short stories, which I won't go into now. But
I'm going to talk to you about that, Tom. Okay. I've got one I really want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Andrea's right. It's a one of the hardest form, if not the hardest form, to pull off. But when it's pulled off.
And if you think back about it, I think most readers, avid readers, or people who read a lot, if you think back over your whole life and all your reading and the stories that have, not short stories necessarily, but the books, the reading that you've done that has stayed with you, like punchy, even as far back as like middle school or high school or whatever, and something that's really stayed with you your entire life. I bet you a lot of them are short stories.
Yep. That's totally my reading arc for sure.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you, Andrea. Brittany, what's your last book of the day?
All right. My last book of the day is Lucas Wars. This is a graphic nonfiction title that is all about the creation of Star Wars. So I do think that this is something that is perfect for all of the Star Wars lovers in your life, all of the fans of the films, the franchise, the creative process. It mostly centers on George Lucas, but then once it gets into the actual like filming and release, it looks at the other major players like Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher. But the artwork is great. And I think it's a little niche, but I do think that it is perfect for the Star Wars nerds of the world, and there are a lot of those.
Yes, I'm not sure it's so niche, actually. A couple of things. Everybody loves Star Wars, and graphic narratives are really just, God, there's just so many gorgeous graphic narratives lately. And I'm a person who, didn't read, hasn't read graphic books since I really loved comics way back, early on in my life. But I've read a lot of really wonderful ones lately. I've taken on, everything from very simple kinds of visual subjects to really complicated, like political graphic narratives, or and there's one out now about sleep disorders, and so I think it's very exciting, actually, and the art is great, and I think a great gift. Everybody knows somebody who wants this book right now. Sure. Thanks, Brittany. Tom, why don't you finish it up for the day?
I'll do that. My last book is Lightbreakers by Aja Gabel. And Riverhead published a book, her first novel called The Ensemble, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. It was a great debut novel. And so it's exciting to have her follow up. She took time off to write for television. And I think, and to get this book right, I think, because you can tell there's a lot of lot of research that went into it. So Lightbreakers, she's a Los Angeles writer, so love to support our local writers. So this is it's a time travel novel. I mean, say that first. And there can never be enough time travel novels. I think there's an insatiable need. The readers who love time travel, they want more. And so what she's done here, she's mixed, and I love books that play with genre and mix genres. So this is about a couple. So Maya is an artist and Noah is a physicist. So they come from two different worlds. Happily married, but the shadow that hangs over it is that Noah lost a child with his first wife. So then Noah becomes part of a project that unravels the secrets of time travel, essentially. And so it's like then this couple, these two people, are given the opportunity and the decision. What do they do? They both have moments, people that they want to travel back in time to, as one would. So it's about that decision, what that means, what that changes about your life, the past. Of course, it's all about time and the passage of time. But she has a really light touch, and she gets the science right. I mean, and there's just enough science that you feel like you're learning something at the same time. I thought, at least for me. So it's about human connection and time travel. So it got incredible early reviews. Kirkus called it. Kirkus says, combining elements of science fiction, mystery, and domestic realism, this novel grapples with the complexities of time, memory, grief, family, art, and science. A poignant and sharp novel about love, loss, and finding light in the darkness. So this came out maybe a week or two ago, so it's really fresh on the shelves. And we all know people who want a literary novel that also has time travel in it, and that's what we have here.
I'm so excited about this book, Tom. I haven't read it yet, but it's like all of the things that I love. And as somebody who has, in fact, researched the possibilities of time travel for the writing of fiction, because there's so many, there's always that thing that they get wrong, that's wrong in movies and books, and they think they call it the grandfather paradox, where you go back and marry your own grandfather or whatever, kind of a thing. But there's always, so I've researched it, and so I always appreciate when there's like a really solid scientific backing behind the story. I mean, it just really helps. I don't know.
Yes,
how else
yes.
to say it.
It's important.
Yeah, but I haven't read this one yet, but it's on my list. It's it's in the queue, and I really was intrigued by the premise, and I'm super excited to read it. So I'm glad you talked about it today. Now we'll bump it up again.
To have a brand new book to talk about, a novel, because a lot of fiction my fiction at least, has already came out in September and October.
Right.
So.
And we've got like the heavy, yes, it's true. November is like a lot of heavy hitting biographies and things like that. So excellent. Well, what a wonderful, an excellent batch of books again. I don't know how we keep doing it every week, and yet somehow we do. Wonderful gift ideas, wonderful reading ideas. When it's going to rain again, books to sink into with while it's raining and cold. And I really appreciate all of you joining us today to share all of those fantastic recommendations. Andrea Tetrick from PGW, Brittany Greenway from Macmillan, Tom Benton from Penguin, and Henry, thank you again for getting up early. And thank you, Joey, for producing everything behind the scenes. And thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I just want to remind you all again that tomorrow, 6:30, at the store, we're going to have more of this live and in person and with giveaways. So come on out to Rep Night tomorrow night. We're very excited to see you. And we will be back again next week. We will be back with more reps. We'll be back with more books. We're revving up for the holiday. Next week is right before Thanksgiving, isn't it? That's right. All right. Well, you don't want to miss it. We'll be here. Books for the holidays. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you next week.